who knows? I think the cycle extends anyway. I think it's not going to be the same Bitcoin halving cycle that we've seen. I think it's changed because of the nature of people who are in the market now as well, with the institutions coming in and others. So yeah, I think it goes further and higher than most people imagine.
I do believe Ethereum has first mover advantage. But one thing that is in the back of my mind and thinking about the future of adoption are these gas fees. How do you personally look at this? And do you see this as a risk that a Solana and some other Polkadot or something can overtake Ethereum eventually as a result?
Maybe. I'm indifferent. I have no emotion about, does Solana become a larger network? It's a trade-off between centralization and decentralization. The reason the gas fees are so expensive in Ethereum is because it's so popular. So that opens up opportunities for other chains. Do they become a chain that ends up being larger than Ethereum? Who the hell knows? And it doesn't really matter. People take it like it's a personal thing. It's like, do I care whether Google is bigger than Apple or Apple bigger? No, they're all going to exist.
Are you concerned, or maybe it's just early where it doesn't matter at this point? Because
it doesn't matter at this point. I mean, if you can show me the network dying in Ethereum and network growth slowing, then that's a serious issue. If it's not, then it's not. Right now, it's highly observable that the Ethereum network is growing faster than the Bitcoin network, and Solana and Terra and Avalanche are growing faster than Ethereum, but from a lower base. That's fine. So they're all growing. And the Bitcoin network is growing. So every one of those is growing. And so at this stage, it doesn't matter. This is what makes Metcalfe's law interesting, because you can have a chain like Doge, which has a lot of investors, but not enough use cases. I think it may come because it's such a big chain with so many people on it that why would you not build applications for it? But it's a very lopsided Metcalfe's law. So it should be very volatile in price because once the investors leave, there's no stuff. Ethereum is so deep and so rich an ecosystem with the number of people building on it that it's incredibly powerful. And everybody has to realize is whatever people think the narrative is in Bitcoin about Bitcoin being money, the reality is the medium of exchange in Web 3.0 is ETH. I mean, all NFTs are priced in ETH. Sotheby's are doing art auctions in ETH. DeFi is based in ETH generally. The metaverse is in ETH. I even commissioned a headquarters for Real Vision in Crypto Voxels. We got a metaverse architects firm to build it. They charge us in ETH. So ETH is money right now. Does it always remain money? Who knows? But right now, nobody pays each other in Web 3.0 and Bitcoin. Literally nobody.
Do you have a price prediction for ETH at the peak of this respective bull run?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes over 20,000, and I have done for a long time. And there's a potential for even further because of the staking dynamics and stuff. But my general view is that it goes to 20,000. And I say that with a relative level of confidence. That's just a repeat of what Bitcoin did in 2017. It kind of overlays pretty well. It's not perfect. It was perfect for a while. The charts were like spooky tick for tick. Now they're not, but contextually kind of makes sense for me. It's only a 4x from here. I mean, we've seen Bitcoin do 4x or ETH last cycle did, 4x, 5x, 6x in the last month of the year. So who knows? I think the cycle extends anyway. I think it's not going to be the same Bitcoin halving cycle that we've seen. I think it's changed because of the nature of people who are in the market now as well, with the institutions coming in and others. So yeah, I think it goes further and higher than most people imagine.
Do you see the cycle extension going to maybe mid next year to blow off top is in mid next year or beyond that?
I think mid next year. I think it's somewhere around if ETH we've just discussed is so important to the current environment of where we are, arguably it's more important than Bitcoin because of how much is being built on it and is driving prices because of NFTs and DeFi and all these things moving the price of ETH. Then the ETH 2.0 staking, whenever that happens, and not the staking, the release of ETH 2.0, I think around that is the moment, because you kind of know. I know I've been arguing a bit on Twitter about this. I've always said that the moment it's released is probably a buy the rumor, sell the fact. And everyone's like, yeah, but my ETH's already going to be locked for a longer period. But I can front run you because I know you have to sell your ETH. You might sell your ETH as soon as you're unlocked. So why would I give you the benefit of higher prices to sell into? Markets know positions. So there's nothing worse than ETH 2.0 out, you're still locked, and I get to sell because I didn't stake, and you're trapped watching the prices fall.
Let's talk
markets love pain.
Yeah, and I know you've talked about it too, that the little guy gets to front run a lot of the institutions this time around.
Yeah, I mean, all the way through, the little guys have front run the institutions. I've launched this exponential age asset management, which is a fund of hedge funds that invests in crypto hedge funds. There's a lot of people like, why didn't you let the little guys in? I'm like, I can't legally because of the law, and I understand that it's unfair. And yes, I'm doing some other projects that will help that. But don't you understand, me bringing in new money into the hedge fund space in crypto drives up the value of your tokens, and you are front running them, just as I promised you would.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
What are your thoughts on Bitcoin's adoption and also a price prediction for this bull run peak?
Bitcoin's adoption is relentless for different reasons. It's a great balance sheet asset. It's a savings asset. It's a long-term vehicle. It has that, incredible qualities to it. And I think adoption just continues relentlessly over time. So I don't see any change to that whatsoever, even if the layer 2 doesn't really take off, even if they don't build smart contracts on it, I don't think it matters. I think Bitcoin has its value proposition and people are pretty comfortable with it. And it's very different to Ethereum. It stands in its own, and it's universally accepted for what it is. So my price prediction is, I still think it gets to about somewhere between 200,000 and 300,000. But it has traded terribly. It has traded terribly since March. We broke new highs, still can't really break higher. We don't get a retail acceleration point. It doesn't trade very well. That's the weird thing about it. Now, that could resolve itself with an explosive upside move, which is what I think is going to resolve it. But it really has not traded well this year. It's basically gone nowhere all year since the beginning, since March. Well, look, I mean, I'm looking at my screen. As of today, Bitcoin is up 95% this year. Ethereum's up 517% this year. And XRP that's on my screen is up 335% this year. So Bitcoin's been the worst asset to own of the majors.
You mentioned, we could see some explosive growth. What do you think might be the catalyst for that? Is it more inflation concerns? Could it be adoption by other smaller?
No, this whole space is driven by adoption and new entrants. The number of active wallet addresses has remained below peak and when price got to peak. So what we're not seeing, and the number of new wallets is still, the seven-day rate of change is still relatively low. So what we haven't seen is headlines of Bitcoin goes to new highs, up 50% in a month, that drives in retail and panics in institutions. So we've been missing that, and I think it comes. Institutions are allocating, but we're now, in the last 2 months of the year, in the last month of the year. So generally, if they're making their asset allocation decisions, they'll either put it at the end of this quarter or beginning of next quarter as they start fully allocating into this. So I know the institutions are all coming, they're all involved, but I think a lot of them are like 2022, we're going to allocate to Bitcoin.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.